My parents keep having babies that they can't afford to raise. Story. My parents have 7 kids. There's me, 16M, Kayla, 13F, Robin, 12M, Sam, 10M, Lacey, 8F, Zoe, 6F, and Robbie, 4M. They only ever intended to have 2 kids, and even with me and Kayla alone, they'd still struggle. My parents don't have great jobs. We never had much space in our house to begin with, and now we're all crammed in. I started working at 13 to get money, so I could pay for stuff I needed, like a laptop, which I didn't have access to when my school first shut down. We didn't even have internet then. My parents swore that they were done with Robbie and they'd get us back on track and that I wouldn't need to work just to pay for stuff I needed for school. The weight of being the oldest is already a lot, and I have paid for stuff before. I babysit so my parents can work nights or get a break. I take care of the house most days so they can focus on earning money. But it's a lot, and we're really too big of a family for what we can actually afford. My parents get help from the government, but it doesn't go far because they're not good with money or with buying groceries. When no baby came right after Robbie, I thought they were serious, and I started to think about my future. I'd love to learn to cook better and work in a restaurant. Not college exactly because we could never afford it and my grades aren't good enough, but something. Then Monday, my parents sat us down and told us they're having another baby, and Mom is like 14 weeks pregnant. They knew for 7 weeks and didn't want to tell us until they were ready. My siblings were mostly surprised, but me, I said not again. I think I even cried a little, which caught me off guard because I'm not a crier usually. This was apparently enough to break me though. My parents got so angry at me and told me to check my attitude. I told them they gave me this attitude by being so reckless and putting so much on me, and now they've broken their promise and we're going to struggle even more than before. They told me to stop acting like they're doing something to me, that accidents happen and they'd never abort, even if they could. They told me to focus on making things okay and less on being so negative. I know people say that having money isn't as important as long as you have a loving family, and maybe that's true for some people, but mine feel like a weight I have to carry and not something I'm blessed with. They're a responsibility on me, a burden, really. And maybe that's awful to say, but it's how I really feel. I hate worrying about what'll happen if they can't afford the bills or if my laptop breaks and I can't afford to fix it or get a new one. Or what if we can't afford food, or we can, but I have to pay for groceries instead of save? Am I the a-hole? Response 1. NTA. This is a no-win situation. You do not have to ever babysit your siblings. That is not your responsibility. But then, if you didn't watch the kids, there would be less money to feed the kids. Essentially, there are 3 parents in this household and 2 of them are acting very irresponsible, which is increasing the workload of parent number 3. You should consider enlisting in the Air Force or the Navy when you're old enough. Even a good line cook won't allow you an income to leave home. So that's a trap where you will still live at home and be pressured to watch the kiddos. Study hard for the ASVAB, get a high score so you can get good training for a skilled job, then enlist for 4 or 6 years, whatever the minimum is, get out and go into government contracting. There's good money there and it's fairly safe in terms of job security. Reply 1. The military is not for me. I get that people think it's great, but that would not be a good option for me. Honestly, even without money, I won't be staying once I'm old enough to leave. I'd rather be homeless and couch surf and figure something else out. Reply 2. Whatever you do, you must leave your home. It is going to hurt when it happens. You will be guilted about leaving, and your next sibling, Kayla, will likely end up taking on the responsibilities that you have now. Make a plan. Keep it secret. Do not tell anyone in your family. Get your own bank account if you can. Leave as soon as possible after turning 18, even if it is staying with a friend or a relative. Google parentification. That is what has happened to you, wishing you luck in the future. Not the a-hole. Reply 3. Downside is second sibling, and so forth, is going to probably end up resenting the OP for being able to leave when they can. Don't know what OP's relationship is like with the older siblings, but maybe considering a peace offering of helping them get established. Edit, for example, role model / advice. when it's their turn to escape, might smooth things over, especially if they want to maintain the sibling relationship with minimal strain. Not the a-hole for sure. OP needs to live their own life. Reply 4. This exactly. Get out as soon as possible. Don't let anyone know until you are closing the door behind you. Be strong. You can do this. Reply 5. You need to talk to your school counselor about this as soon as possible. They might know of resources to help your family. Tell them everything and be honest. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Response 2. NTA. Your feelings are perfectly reasonable. You still need to think about your future. Don't let their decision to have another child derail you. Keep saving. Groceries are not your responsibility. Response 3. NTA. I had a similar reaction when my parents announced they were having #5. I was the oldest at nearly 15 at that time, and our house had been torn up in a massive renovation. I don't think I cried, but I definitely wasn't happy. It's been 33 years. The house isn't finished, and probably won't be while my parents are alive. I'm child-free, and don't have a close relationship with my parents. My advice, keep working and try to save some of that money. Look into local food banks, diaper banks, and other services. Don't completely discount college, especially if you think your parents can get it together enough to fill out the FAFSA form. Your family probably qualifies for a lot of financial aid, to the point where you may not have to pay much at all. Move out as soon after high school as you are able to do it. Know where your critical documents, SS card, birth certificate, immunization records, etc., are, and try to keep them yourself. You really should not move out without them. Reply 1. I agree with all of this. Check your credit score. You can use Credit Karma. Lots of parents will use their children's social security number to open up cards or get loans. Once it's cleared, you need to lock it so they never have access. OP, if you have friends and trust the adults, reach out to them so you can go over to their house and get a break. Or to slowly start storing your important items. Reply 2. This too. My mom, luckily, forgot my SSN. She called me and asked to use it to get cable. That was one of the only times we talked after I moved out. I was like, laugh out loud? No. Then she called me a few weeks later after she heard I got a job as a barista and asked me to buy her a car. I cannot make this stuff up. Reply 3. Alternatively, community college. Costs less, often still have scholarships, and less concerned about high school grades. Reply 4. Also, given how much pressure you're under, no wonder your grades aren't perfect. If you have the chance to utilize a college grant and move out, you might be shocked at how they go up once you have time for yourself. Your life sounds like it has a lot of extenuating circumstances, which you'd be able to put on a college application. Some schools, particularly state schools and community colleges, also have assistance programs like fresh food banks and basic medical clinics that are free for students. There's also trade school. You may be able to get grants or scholarships to cover culinary school or any number of training programs. There also may culinary school programs that are at colleges or that lead to an associate's or bachelor's degree. Reply 5. To add to this, since I noticed in another that they forget to fill stuff. You can always go low contact or no contact with parents, just talk to siblings and file FAFSA. The college will need a letter stating you are no contact and that they would not fill out paperwork. How long it has been like this and why? My sister had to do this as she went no contact with our parents. You don't need them for FAFSA. If it was a normal situation, you would, but you are not in a normal situation. Response 4. NTA, look after yourself and get out as soon as possible. Are they religious? I know plenty of kids from huge Catholic families with baby boomer parents, mostly with good incomes though. And what has surprised me is how the majority of them have made opposite decisions as adults, small families, or no children at all. The pressure of having so many siblings really took the shine off family. Reply 1, kind of. We never went to church. None of us are baptized. But they were both raised Catholic and hold some of the views still, like abortion. But they're fine with birth control. They're just too reckless to take it. Reply 2, I had to jump on a comment to tell you this. I am a college professor. If you want to go to college, you can. There is nothing wrong with working in a restaurant, but if you are picking that career because you don't think you are good enough for college, I hope you will listen to this advice. I've been a professor for more than a decade, and some of my students are naturally brilliant, but most of them are just regular kids who work hard and got mostly C's, the occasional B, and probably a D here or there in high school. You can get C's and D's, J, in college and still get a degree. Your future employers don't care if you got a 4.0. They care if you have a bachelor's degree. You can get financial aid from the government and assistance from a university. I'm not saying you can afford a private school without good grades and a scholarship, but you can get into a state/public university or community college and transfer to a state school after a year or two. School financial aid departments have all sorts of funding to assist students who are struggling financially. I have helped many students navigate the processes and secure housing and additional financial awards. If you need help, please message me and I will send you some information walking you through application processes and how to get fees waived. I am based in the US but have colleagues overseas, mostly in Europe, who I could link you with if you are based outside of the USA. Reply 3. I hope you take this professor's advice seriously. I came here to say the same thing. You need to make a change and break the family pattern. Go to school and get a degree so you never have to be in your parents' position. Good luck! Reply 4. D stands for degree. Laugh out loud, the only grades I've ever had an employer ask about was my law school GPA. I just said I had gentlemen's C's. I am a woman. Reply 5. This OP, you'd be shocked at how much financial aid you can get just from the FAFSA. But you can also apply for additional scholarships. Apply for both community colleges and four-year universities. I did CC first to get my grades up, got my associates, then went to a 4-year. I didn't have to pay for anything until I decided to double major, double minor, which added another couple semesters, and that had to come out of pocket. And I've never had a job interview where anyone asked or cared about my GPA. They wanted to know about what critical thinking skills came from my education and what did I learn that matters for my career path. Just so you know, I nearly didn't graduate high school, was a solid A student in CC, and a mostly A/B student in uni. You can do anything you put your mind to. You deserve better, and I hope you find your way. Best of luck to you. NTA. Response 5. NTA. You need to call CPS. Your parents don't have enough money to take care of their kids. You should not be helping. If they can't take care of their kids without your help, then you need to call CPS. What if you or someone else in your family is in an accident, comes down with a medical illness? What will happen then? You need to get help now. If you are struggling now, it can only take a moment before things come crashing down. Please call CPS. Reply 1. CPS called to us before and set us up with resources. My parents are just really bad with making them work for us. Reply 2. Your parents are effing stupid. What excuse do they even have for not using birth control? Any, because including condoms. Your mom's uterus is a goddamn clown car and they've made it your problem? F that. The second you can leave and get as far away as you can. I'm sorry they stole your younger years because they can't take any measures to prevent foisting more children on you. Reply 3, just like others said before, call them on every occasion. No food on the table, call CPS. Toddlers unattended, call CPS. No clothes for you, call CPS. Unable to do homework because of other kids, call CPS every goddamn time. Reply 4. Honestly, lucky CPS did anything in this situation. CPS is underfunded and generally can only handle the worst stuff. When CPS came to my house as a child where the emotional neglect, hoarding, and parentifaction were obvious, all they did was educate my parents on why hoarding was unsafe and never came back. Response 6, NTA. Jesus, how does this happen to people in the 21st century? Accidents happen? Are you kidding me? Reply 1, by not being responsible. Things like forgetting to go out and get the birth control and forgetting to take it. Reply 2, welp, now you should start bursting into their room for safety checks, since they clearly aren't responsible to be having sex. Response 7, NTA, your parents are wildly irresponsible. I recommend looking into jobcorps.gov. You can be trained for a trade starting at 16. Also possibilities, AmeriCorps, CoolWorks, and the military. PLS, start figuring out how to get yourself out of this mess and educate yourself on birth control. Now reply 1. This. If you're in the US, some high schools have programs with trade schools. At my high school, mid-sized city, Those students went to the high school in the morning and the VOTEC in the afternoon. They graduated with a high school diploma and a certificate from the VOTEC so they could get to work. Talk to a counselor at your school and see what options are available to you. Response 8, NTA. I'm sorry you have so much to deal with at your young age. If you stop, move out, whatever the solution, it really passes the buck to Kayla. She will need to start doing more and lose her childhood too, but one day, in the future, you need to pick you, be ready to walk out and just take care of you. Reply 1, Kayla won't even help me out with some chores. She's not going to step up and do more. Not that she should have to, but when I'm gone, and I'll go as soon as I can, nobody else will step up. Reply 2, Kayla has watched her older brother get worked to the bone. Not surprised she's doing everything she can to save herself from the same fate. So sorry you're dealing with this, OP. It's called parentification, and it's not cool. Not the a-hole. Reply 3. So, in the plan you're making for leaving, please make a note to call CPS on your siblings' behalf. If you don't have it in you to do it now, and I totally get that, then make sure you do it as or right after you leave. That's your way of helping your siblings. You take care of you, you get out and start your new amazing life, and you've done your due diligence to help your siblings. And once you're set and a bit into your new life, you might want to consider seeking out some mental health resources. No matter which way you go, there's going to be fallout. You know this, and you're going to need to make sure you're mentally prepared for however your family tries to pull you back in to save them. And while I agree not the a-hole to the nth degree, and it is absolutely not your job to do this, please make a point to either mention to CPS, or if you're comfortable doing it, directly to your siblings, especially the female ones, the importance of birth control as soon as possible. And before anyone downvotes me, no, because it's not just a female's responsibility, but body autonomy is. And growing up with reckless parents, not showing that restraint and making hard choices are actually a good thing, could lull them into a false sense of security, especially since they've really had a third parent the whole time. Someone needs to drill safe sex into these lids, or they'll repeat this disaster all over again. And that brings me back to my previous suggestion. This is your family for the rest of your life. You're likely going to face a time in the future where a sibling comes to you for help, and I want to make sure that you are in the right headspace to be able to handle this request. No one would blame you for going no contact, first and foremost. And if you choose to go no contact with just your parents, that's okay too. I just want to see you succeed and stay successful on your way up. And I don't want to see you get dragged back down into this mess. My husband is the eldest of 4. His youngest brother is 17 years younger than him. At the age of 4, he was walking alone along a major road to the pharmacy to buy gauze pads for his mom, at home with his 2-year-old brother, his mom recovering from surgery. He could drive by the age of 11, and once his youngest brother was born, his parents had just opened a small store. So he was either babysitting or working at the store without pay. He also had his own job because he needed money and the family needed money. He is still the one they turn to fix problems at home. He has a good life now, he's happy, but he's got a lot of baggage from that upbringing. I don't ask too many questions about his childhood because he says it brings up bad memories. But he's successful. This is what I want you to know. There is hope, I promise. One thing he has done is to keep track on a spreadsheet of milestones he's reached. For him, it's financial milestones, or reminders to stay out of debt no matter the desire. But whenever he's feeling down and out, or thinks he's not deeping as well as he should be, he goes back through that spreadsheet to see how far he's come. I know you can be successful too, OP, and if you ever need a mom to vent to, or cheer you on, or whatever, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would be honored to be that person for you. Your upbringing may define how you approach life, but it is not your life sentence. You can and will succeed. Baby steps to bigger places. Response 9. Check out Job Corp. And if you're struggling and living in the US, you could possibly get a bunch of grants to go to school. I didn't pay for college out of pocket because of how bad off my family was. Response 10. Accidents happen and they'd never abort, even if they could. They're the a-holes and that's the end of it. Not the a-hole. Response 11. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry, OP. Do you have a school counselor you can talk to about improving your grades and looking at a good training course for becoming a chef? Could you talk to a grandparent or other relative about helping out with babysitting occasionally so you can have some time to be a kid? Reply 1. I don't have any extended family to reach out to about this stuff. My school counselor is not someone who helps. They've been on my case about my grades for over a year. Response 12. I haven't seen anyone give this advice. Maybe it's buried, but regardless. As you make a plan to get out, find your documents, your social security card and birth certificate. With your parents seemingly out of the house a lot, it might not be too hard. The hard part will be not having your siblings find you. Don't take them yet because if your parents, for some reason, go looking, you'll be caught. Know where they are then. A few days before you leave, that's when you take them. Do you have friends you can stay with? Reply 1. If they actually have them. With how reckless my parents are, it wouldn't shock me if they don't have our birth certificates or anything safe. I'll try and look at the weekend. That's when my siblings will be sleeping and my parents won't be home. Reply 2. If you can't find them, tell them you are looking for them so you can get your permit/license that might prompt them to give them to you. Reply 3. Or just tell the school is looking for a copy of your birth certificate. They sent a note home like a month ago, don't you remember? They said they need it for my registration and they can't find it on file. Reply 4. You can get new copies if you need to, but it may be complicated a bit since you're under 18. If you can't apply online for a new social security card or birth certificate, call the offices to find out exactly what you need to apply for new documents. You don't want to go to some office and wait hours and then be told you're missing something. For birth certificates, there are usually a few ways to get them. Through your state's vital records office, through vitalcheck.com, or through a county office, the county where you were born. Response 13, NTA. It's time for them to stop. You sadly have no influence on their decisions, but you can stop anytime. No more babysitting, no more paying for family stuff. You work your job and go to school, and when you are 18, you get the hell out of there. Whether it's college with loans or straight to work is something you can think about in the next years. Tell this to them, that they decide to have more and more children, and now it's time for them to work it out. Make it absolutely clear to them that you can and will call CPS if they try anything funny or neglect you or your younger siblings' needs. Please speak about this to your friends or trusted adults or social workers or teachers or something like that. Your parents burden you with an amount of responsibility that infuriates me. Response 14, NTA, and get out as soon as possible. Look up parentification and tell your school guidance counselor and ask about emancipation. In my country, you could be doing a culinary apprenticeship at this age. Is there something equivalent where you are? Reply 1. My school guidance counselor is not helpful for anything. I never heard of a culinary apprenticeship for my age, mostly for those 18 or older. Reply 2. Does your school offer trade school? My high school lets sophomore, senior sign up for trade school, and they get on a bus after lunch to drive to the community college where the trade classes are. There were classes for nursing, auto body, welding, etc., so they might have a cooking class or something. Typically, when you complete these, you get a certification too. Response 15, NTA. It is truly disappointing of your parents to 1. Not see how badly the weight of your siblings is affecting you, and 2. Try to control how you feel after hearing that life will become more difficult for you due to their negligence. I was the only caregiver of my siblings and alcoholic parents. It's led to a life of trust and attachment issues. Please, for your own sake, take steps to distance yourself whenever you can. Response 16. People say that having money isn't as important as long as you have a loving family. People who say this have no idea how effing stressful it is to truly be struggling financially. Not the a-hole, obviously, for all the reasons everyone else has said. Response 17. They need a break? What about you? I only have 4 kids and we can afford them reasonably comfortably, cost of living increase aside, and we have a break about once a year. They chose to have kids, contraception fails, yes, but not 5 times. You are not the a-hole, and I encourage you to look into options, and I'd be telling them you will not be staying past 18 because you did not sign up to raise children. I don't know if apprenticeships are a thing there. Maybe live and work on a farm or something temporarily. Regardless, I wish you luck. OP, I moved out at 18 and was fine, but our gov support in AOS seems better than the US, making assumptions. Response 18, NTA, but I'd stop helping around if you can maybe look into being emancipated, legally declared adult ahead of time, to which you can legally leave the home, and if you got grandparents or such, you can move in with. Get a part-time job and ensure your parents don't have access to your bank accounts, etc. Response 19, NTA, your parents are irresponsible and you have every right to be upset. This is going to affect you and your siblings. You've been parentified a lot and they no doubt expect you to take on more. Let them know you will leave as soon as you can. Response 20, NTA, you shouldn't be 16, working a job to prop yourself up and also taking care of your siblings with more on the way just because your parents aren't responsible. This affects not just you, but your siblings as well, but apparently your parents don't care. I hope you manage to get out of this situation. Good luck.